Hello, I'm Steve Flatman, the Director of Examinations at CIMA. As you know, CIMA regularly updates its syllabus and assessment to ensure its students and members are equipped with the right skills and knowledge and competencies employers are looking for in today's business environment. In the most recent update to the professional qualification, we have significantly changed the way in which we assess students. All examinations are now computer-based and take the form of either an objective test or a case study exam. I would like to take this time to provide you with an overview of how we assess students under the 2015 professional qualification. Case study exams are available to sit 4 times a year, with each window per level lasting for 5 days. Unlike objective tests, case studies are human-marked. Therefore, results are released approximately 5 weeks after the final day of the exam window. Your results for the case study exam will contain an overall grade of either pass or fail. A scaled score from 0 to 150, with 80 demonstrating the minimum level of competence required to pass the exam, and a breakdown of performance against each of the competencies and integration with an indicator of either fail, moderate or strong. To pass the case study exam, you will have to achieve the following: a scaled score of 80 or above on a range between 0 and 150. Either a moderate or strong indicator against all 4 competencies and integration. This is so that successful students can demonstrate that they are business ready and have shown that they have a good balance of ability across the competencies. Any candidate receiving a fail for any one of the competencies will not pass the exam, irrespective of the overall score. The exception to this rule is at the operational level, where integration and the leadership skills competency are not accessible. A fail indicates that you did not achieve the minimum competency threshold required to pass the exam. A moderate indicates that you achieved a performance between the minimum threshold and just above the performance of a minimally competent candidate with a specific competency. You will have demonstrated areas of competency, however some areas would benefit from further development prior to sitting future exams. A strong indicates that you performed strongly, demonstrating a high level of competency, well above that of a minimally competent candidate. We previously indicated a pass mark of 60% for case study exams. This guidance was intended to indicate the level of competency required based on the published syllabus learning outcomes and the competency weightings. CIMA will not provide a percent score for the case study exam. This is because each case study window contains 5 variants of the exam, and that, during the marking process, it may be found that one or more variants of the exam are slightly easier and one or more are slightly harder. For example, Student A took a slightly harder version of the exam, where the pass mark required was 57%. Student B took a medium version of the exam, where the pass mark required was 60%. Student C took a slightly easier version of the exam, where the pass mark required was 63%. Each of these variants differs slightly in challenge and content, meaning the raw score produced across all 5 variants cannot be compared, even if they achieve the same raw score, until they go through an industry standard psychometric process called equating. Equating all 5 variants of the exam ensures results are fair to all students, and that irrespective of the slight differences in variants, produces a common scaled score to judge student performance consistently. Once results have been equated, students can be confident that everyone who receives the same score in the exam can be judged to have the same level of proficiency. Being able to confidently compare performance in exams is useful for students being able to understand how they performed, and for others, such as employers, who may also be interested in the score achieved. Your score cannot be converted back to a percentage-based scores due to the equating process used to reach the scaled score. For more information on equating methodology, please visit our results page on CIMA Connect.
Hi, I'm Peter Stewart. I'm CIMA's Director of Learning, responsible for providing support to the students as they progress towards the CIMA exams. I want to take a couple of minutes to help you understand what your exam performance report means to you. When you receive your case study results, your first concern is naturally whether it says pass or fail. If it says pass, your inclination is likely to be to celebrate and move on. However, if you're at operational or management level, the report contains information which may be useful to you for future case studies. I would encourage you to download all versions of the exam and focus on the exam variant that you took. Find the corresponding illustrative answer, find the marking guide for that version, and most importantly, find the examiner's report from your exam window. Reading the examiner's report in the context of the exam you took will give you a lot of insight into the expectation of case study examiners. In competency areas where you've been graded as moderate, you'll have food for thought about how you can demonstrate those areas more effectively in future exams. If your result is a fail, as Steve has said, it's for one of two reasons. You failed to reach the minimum threshold in any one competence, and in this instance, my advice is that you should download the marking guide for your variant of the exam to see where that competence was applied, review the suggested answer to see an illustration of how it was applied in those tasks, and read the examiner's report to discover the rationale of how it was expected to be applied and the feedback from the examiner on ways in which it may have been applied better. It would also be good practice to review the other 4 variants, the ones you didn't take, to see how all of the competencies were applied, but particularly those where you've been given a fail grade. This has the benefit to you of being a familiar pre-seen scenario, allowing you to focus more on the competencies than the type of business in the scenario. If, on the other hand, your fail is as a result of falling short of the pass mark of 80, it's most likely that your performance is low on a number of competencies. The first thing you must do is ensure that you fully understand the nature of the exam. It's a competency-led, scenario-based role-play exam where you have to play a character who is defined at a high generic level in our professional qualifications syllabus document. Each pre-scene gives further information on the specific character you are playing and the characters with whom you'll interact in the case study. You must realise that the exam aims to test competence rather than knowledge. The most helpful feedback we've had from the early case study exams encourages students to get into the role and communicate with the person setting the task in a normal business way. A very significant proportion of those who failed the exam did so because they demonstrated knowledge by listing facts or providing definitions as if it were an old-style paper-based exam. There was little application of these facts or definitions to the organisation in the scenario. At operational and management levels, a number of students fall short on technical skills related to subjects from which they are exempt. Before retaking the exam, you should ensure that you're familiar with the learning outcomes for all 3 subjects as listed in the syllabus document. Remember that the case study will not ask you to perform calculations, but you have to demonstrate an understanding of how those syllabus topics can help a business with decision-making, planning and control. I've mentioned this already for those who failed on a single competence area, but it is really important that you review the examiner's report from the exam which you've taken. You're told the rationale for setting each task in the context of both the competence being tested as well as the main learning outcome being referenced. You're told broadly what the case study writer expects to see in a typical response. You're also told how people demonstrated the relevant competencies and equally useful, what people did that failed to demonstrate the competences. Thank you for watching and listening. I hope you found this useful. For further information on anything we've covered, please visit our results page on CIMA Connect. We wish you all the best in your next CIMA exam.